So today we're going to look at restoring an Atari ST, and it's going to be a slightly different way because I was asked in one of my comments about the paint that I use. So I decided, and I said in my comments that I was going to do another video on how to use or restore an Atari ST in a slightly different manner without using a spray gun. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to look at an ST. We're going to repair it, repair the faults. It was an ST I was given after the other video. It had similar faults, and the person kind of, he got to a point where he didn't know what the faults were, and I think it was just a case of, I've already got one, so do I really need to go down the route of repairing this? So he said, do you want it? Do you want to use it and put it right? So I'm going to use that model to restore today. So we're going to fix the fault, and we're going to actually restore the case. It's going to be a very similar video, but it's going to be using, not using a spray gun and basically off-the-shelf kind of products instead of paint that was mixed specially. So let's have a look and see how it turns out. Okay, so I've been given this Atari ST, and the case is in fairly reasonable condition, but the machine itself doesn't work. It's has a bit of a fault on the motherboard. It's missing a decent keyboard because the keys actually snapped off of this one, and it's all loose, it's all been taken apart. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the motherboard out of this. We're going to put it on the bench and we're going to power it on and see what it does. I have another keyboard, so the broken keyboard doesn't bother me, so I'm not going to use that, but it doesn't have a floppy drive in it as well. As you can see, nothing there, just a space. And I'm going to have a look at it and find out what exactly's gone wrong on it. So out of the case, this doesn't really look any difference to any other Atari ST. I've opened up the casing on it just to have a quick look at it, and obviously no floppy drive, and there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it. So let's grab a keyboard and plug this one in. Okay, so I just connected it up, and we're going to use again a standard ST monitor. Okay, so it is on, so we're going to see what happens when we turn it on. But first we're just going to plug in the keyboard. So keyboard's connected in. It's the one that came with it with the broken key, so but it's not a massive issue. Okay, so turning the machine on, you can hear that rhythmic beep, and you can also, if you have a look, you can see that keyboard light just flashing away, and that's it. It's very similar to the fault that we had on the other machine, although the other machine, the keyboard light didn't flash exactly like that. So let's have a look. Okay, so you can still hear it beeping away, and there's nothing wrong with this. I've actually tried another keyboard on it and it still beeps, so it's not the keyboard itself. So I'm going to go through the board and we're going to find out what's causing this problem. So anyway, I chased up everything that was on this board. So I wanted to try and avoid using an oscilloscope, so I checked the voltages on all the processors, the voltages coming out from your supply, etc., the voltages feeding the board. Everything from this was fine. So it kind of led me to what could have been the same fault as the other one, which is the ground plane. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on whichever way you look at it, this was fine. There was continuity all right around the board. So then I started thinking, was it a controller fault of some kind, or was it something to do with this connection here? So I started playing about with this when it was on, just checking its tightness, see if there's any solder joints missing. So when I finally found it, I found out if I was very gentle on the connector on round about this area where this pin is here, it would actually stop beeping. So I tried it with another keyboard, and when I was around this area gently messing with another pin, it was intermittently beeping. So kind of figured that this was the actual fault on this board. A little different to the other one. So what I did then is just flip the board over, and all I did was just reheat this connection, and what it does is it just flowed the solder a little bit. And since I've done that, you can now turn the machine on, not a sound, and I will do it again so you can catch this. A nice steady LED, nice steady LED, no sound and no issues. Now, it wasn't exactly the same fault as the other machine, but it was kind of in the same kind of ballpark, the same area. So sometimes just taking your time and doing a little bit of diagnostics, you know, making sure the power to the board is correct, all the voltage is correct, making sure all of the voltages are correct going to the ICs and the chips, making sure that there's nothing broken, loose, or in this case dry jointed, and then just, you know, doing some basic remedial work just to make sure that, you know, everything's fine, and that sometimes cures it. And this is what it was in this case. It didn't have to break out an oscilloscope, didn't have to start tracing tracks, and now we have a working Atari ST. Now the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to refurbish the case on this, and yeah, I'm going to do something with this keyboard. I think I'm going to use the keyboard from the other machine that I had on this machine and clean it up. So this is probably only good for spares. So I'm going to use the keyboard off the other Atari ST and then make this one work, but we're also going to refurbish the case, but we're refurbishing it with something that a lot of people have got access to, which is, you know, normal standard automotive style spray cans, which are readily available. Okay, so we're going to do that next. So the first thing you need to do is clean the machine, and try not to spray it like some people do on some of these restoration videos with the machine inside and all the electronics, because it'll get through the vents and ruin it. So I'll clean it with a little bit of a bleach solution, because we are going to make sure the case is 100% clean before we paint, because we don't want to spoil our finish. And then just gently wipe anything away from the surface of the machine as possible. Take your time on this. It can take a good half hour or more to make sure the machine is nice and clean. Don't rush this one, because it will spoil the finish of your paintwork. Make sure all the nooks and crannies are clean and there's no dust, and there's nothing that will spoil anything when you put the final coats of paint on this machine. So just take your time. Try not to rush. Then once you've finished, all you need to do is take a little sanding block, a super fine sanding block, and start preparing the surface of the plastic. You're not sanding it away, you're preparing the surface by using a block. And what you need to do is just keep on going nice and gently over the entire plastic case until you get a really even finish. And what you'll find is that the colour, or the original colour, will start to come through a little bit on the case, which is where you want to be. It's not going to come through entirely on one of these cases, but it's going to come through, and you'll get an idea of what the finished item is going to be. All you need to do is just take your time, don't rush, and make sure that, you know, every little part of the case is dealt with and you haven't missed anything before you come to the next part. Okay, so we have grey plastic primer, which is automotive product here, and what we're going to use this is put it on the case itself. Okay, so when you do it, it's light coats, and we're going to finish that with Painter's Touch, which is a stone grey matte paint, and that's the closest we're going to get to the original Atari ST colour. So all you're going to do is apply the grey primer first in very light coats, 2 to 3 very light coats. You're not making a really heavy coat of this because it's just a bonding agent. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to apply the top coat. Again, very light coats. You're not trying to flood the machine with paint, you're trying to give it the colour. Here is our painted case. As you can see, it's a good match between the inner and outer. It's actually very decent, and you know, it would make a nice little machine once it's back together. Now, is it any different to the previous machine that was used or painted using a spray gun? Let's have a look. That's the one I did last time, and this is the one I've used basically spray cans on. Very close match. I mean, the paint shop said that the paint I used previously and got mixed was very, very close to this colour anyway. So if we compare this to this, it isn't far away at all, and it's quite a decent match. It doesn't have the same slight tint in it that this one has. It's quite a nice match to the bottom of the case, so I wouldn't be upset by using this because it's virtually as close as you're going to get to the original colour, unless you get it colour matched. Okay, but not everyone's going to do that and use a spray gun. And you know, to be honest, compare that to that, back to this, there's a world of difference, and this looks almost like a new case. So we're just going to start putting the machine together. All I've got to do is pop in some screws, put the actual shield on, pop some screws in next, and then we're going to build up the floppy drive area and then pop the case together. Okay, so now I've got the case on, or the shielding on, and we're just going to put the cover on for the power supply, and we're going to try and drop a floppy drive in. Okay, now we put the cleaned up keyboard on here, and we're just going to then put the lid on and put it back together. Okay, and we have one finished 520 STFM, which was done with automotive paint, and you know what, it's not a million miles away. In fact, I'd be very happy with that if that was my ST. And as you can see, the one that I did the other day, using a professional mixed paint, this isn't actually that far away, and in fact they're both very, very good matches. You wouldn't even know if you just looked at them, and this machine looks very, very smart and incredibly young in comparison to this or this. And that's what it's all about. It's actually restoring these machines and then keeping them for future use. And with it being painted, as I said with the other one, it's going to stop the degradation of the plastics, and it's going to last a lot longer. And here we have the 520 STFM running, and it loads up just about instantly. So if I do switch the machine off, switch the machine on, and then there we go. So it's a very nice machine now, so it's worthy of you know, adding to anybody's collection. And the cost is minimal. I mean, you're looking at probably less than £10 really, and that's about it really to refurbish the machine's case. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and it only costs a few pounds to restore an Atari ST by doing it in this way. and it's a nice way of restoring the cases, and as I said before, it actually stops the degrading of the cases, because sunlight, etc., and UV light can't penetrate the paint, so it's going to last a lot longer. And also the fix seems to be a kind of a weird one, but it's kind of related to the last video I did. And so I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you will click like and subscribe, and we're going to do a lot more, and I'll do a lot more videos based on what people want to do, which is what this one was based on. And I did say I would do this video, so if you've got any more ideas, give me a shout, give me a few comments, and hopefully we'll be able to do them for you. Okay, so thanks for watching, and we'll see each other again very shortly on this channel. Thank you. Goodbye.